You've been refreshing Zillow for 6 months. You love Raleigh, and I mean love Raleigh. You love the food hall, the convenience of having everything within a mile or two, the beautiful historic oak trees lining all the streets. But every time you see a 1,500 square foot ranch go for $600,000 on the first weekend with multiple offers, you start doing the math. And that math usually ends with, okay, what else is out there? Hey friends, it's Becky here, one half of the Dream Team and your Triangle Real Estate Advisor with boots on the ground right here in Southern Wake County. Today, we're looking past the Raleigh city limits and we're diving straight into 3 of the most affordable and attractive alternatives in 2026 that no one is telling you about: Angier, Wendell, and Smithfield. I'm going to give you the insider tea, the stuff the brochures and other agents will not tell you, to help you decide which one actually fits your Tuesday mornings, not just your Saturday dreams. Make sure you stick around until the end, because I'm going to reveal the one town on this list that could save you an extra $200 a month on your mortgage alone, while only adding about 10 minutes to your commute time. Okay, first up, let's head south of Raleigh to Angier. If you look at a map, Angier sits right where Wake County meets Harnett and Johnson County. You're about 30 to 40 minutes from downtown Raleigh, but honestly, it feels like a whole other world in the best way possible. If you're looking for a place with small town charm, a growing community, and still easy access to the Triangle, Angier might be one of those towns you didn't know you should have on your radar. Located just south of Fuquay-Varina and roughly 30 minutes from Raleigh, Angier has become increasingly popular for people who want just a little bit more breathing room without completely disconnecting from everything in the Triangle. Truthfully, anytime I mention this growing town, the first question families usually ask is, okay, but what does Angier actually have to offer? So let me tell you. The short answer is, it's a true small town. And for a lot of people, that is the appeal and the vibe of the town. The downtown area has that classic Main Street feel, and yes, in true small town USA fashion, it is actually called Main Street, with locally owned restaurants, small businesses, and community events that bring people together throughout the year. In fact, one of the biggest traditions here in Angier is the Crepe Myrtle Festival, which has been around for decades and draws thousands of people every summer. It's really one of those events where the whole town shows up. Now, while Angier still has that small town energy, the big story right now is growth. Over the past several years, as more people have moved into the Triangle, home prices in areas closer to Raleigh have continued to climb. So naturally, buyers have started looking a little further out. And that's where towns like Angier have really started to gain attention. We're seeing more new construction neighborhoods popping up, more families moving in, and more development slowly making its way south of Fuquay. But what's interesting about Angier is that it still hasn't lost that slower pace of life. You'll still find homes with larger lots, you'll still see people supporting local businesses, and you'll still get that feeling of community that can sometimes get lost in those bigger, faster growing towns in our area. Another thing buyers like about Angier is the variety of housing options. You can find older homes with a little more character, properties with land if you want some space, and newer subdivisions if you prefer something more move-in ready or modern. And for buyers who are getting priced out of some of the more competitive markets that I mentioned, closer to or in Raleigh, Angier can feel like a true breath of fresh air for yourself and for your wallet. And while Angier itself is small, you're definitely not isolated here. You're about 10 minutes from Fuquay, which has tons of restaurants, shopping, and breweries. Holly Springs is also within a reasonable drive, and even places like Cary and Morrisville are accessible if you commute into the Triangle for work. So, as I mentioned, a lot of people find it's a nice balance. You get the quiet, small town lifestyle at home, but you're still close enough to everything you need. And that's really why Angier is starting to show up more on buyers' radars. It's not trying to be the next big city. It's not trying to compete with the larger towns in the Triangle. It's just a community that's growing steadily while still holding on to the small town feel that people really love about it. And for buyers who want space, affordability, and a little bit slower pace of life, that combination is becoming harder and harder to find this close to Raleigh. So if you're exploring towns around the Triangle and you haven't looked at Angier yet, it might be worth adding it to your list. Because this is one of those places that once people drive through it, they start thinking, well, wait, why haven't we been looking here? All right, now let's head east of Raleigh and talk about the town that is single-handedly redefining the Triangle suburb, Wendell. Now, Wendell has always had a charming historic feel, but over the past several years, it's gone through a pretty interesting transformation. And a big part of that story is Wendell Falls. If you haven't heard of it, Wendell Falls is a large master plan community on the edge of town that has brought thousands of new residents to the area over the last decade. And it's really not just another subdivision. It was designed to feel like its own little village within the town. This neighborhood was truly a leader in the mixed-use neighborhoods in our area, combining homes, restaurants, and spaces to meet, greet, and play, all in one central area. You'll find walking trails, parks, a community farm, and gathering spaces that encourage people to actually get outside and interact with their neighbors. The heart of this vibe is the farmhouse, a massive rustic chic community hub. And inside the farmhouse, you'll find the Grounds Cafe, where you'll see people working during the day and then grabbing a craft beer by the fire pit at 6 p.m. It's really created this resort casual lifestyle that's gained a lot of attention in our area. One of the big hubs inside the falls is Bearded Bee Brewing Company, say that 5 times fast, along with coffee shops, restaurants, and the community center that acts as a social hub for local residents. So naturally, when you have a development like Wendell Falls bringing in so many new home buyers, it starts to have a ripple effect on the entire town, right? More people moving in means more demand for restaurants, shops, and local businesses. And that growth has really helped breathe new life into downtown Wendell as well. The downtown area started to see new businesses open up alongside the historic buildings that give the town its character. One local favorite is the Shops on Main, including a general store and a sip-in shop, which is super cool, along with a number of small businesses and boutiques that keep that small town charm alive. What's really interesting about Wendell right now, though, is that it's in this unique phase where it's growing quickly, but it hasn't lost the personality that made people fall in love with it in the first place. You still get the quieter pace of life compared to some of the larger suburbs in the area and around Raleigh, and people still know their neighbors. There's still that feeling that you're part of a community rather than just another neighborhood. And from a housing perspective, Wendell also offers a pretty wide range of options. Inside Wendell Falls alone, you'll find newer homes of all sizes with a variety of modern designs, amenities, and a neighborhood layout that encourages connection. But outside of that development, you'll still find older homes with character, properties with larger lots, and some newer subdivisions popping up as more buyers discover the area, including some 55-plus retirement communities that are pretty great and come with their own fantastic amenities and social coordinators. And location is another big draw. Wendell is only 15 miles east of Raleigh and still in Wake County, which a lot of families still prefer for schools and extracurricular activities. If you're thinking of moving outside of Raleigh but not quite ready to go full-on small town life, Wendell is really a no-brainer. You're close enough to Raleigh for commuting, but far enough away that things feel a little less hectic. Plus, the nearby towns like Knightdale and Zebulon give you additional shopping, dining, and everyday conveniences. So if you're exploring towns around the Triangle and looking for somewhere that blends community, growth, and small town charm, Wendell might be worth taking a closer look at. Because just like some other towns around the Triangle that have exploded in popularity and in price point over the past decade, Wendell might still be early enough in this story that you may want to make it part of yours. Okay guys, before we move on to the third and possibly best value just outside of Raleigh, I know I'm throwing a lot of data and different vibes your way. If you're sitting there with a spreadsheet trying to figure out if Wendell's amenities beat out Angier's backyard space, take a breath. Drop a comment below with the word commute in the general area where you work, whether it's RTP, downtown, or North Hills, and I'll personally reply with the real world drive time from each of these 3 towns during rush hour. It's the one thing the maps always get wrong, and we want to make sure you aren't surprised on your first day of work after moving in. Okay, now we're heading 30 to 40 minutes southeast of Raleigh to Smithfield. If your main goal is the most house for the least amount of money, pay attention. If you've even heard of Smithfield, it's likely for one of 2 reasons. 1, it was the birthplace of Hollywood legend Ava Gardner, and 2, it has a really great outlet mall. And while both of these are true, there's so much more to this traditional Carolina town that often gets overlooked, like the Neuse River Walk and the Buffalo Creek Greenway. That's 10-foot wide paved paths through the woods that are perfect for strollers or long Sunday bike rides. Also, Smithfield is a county seat of Johnson County, so it has a stately historic feel, unlike some of the other areas nearby. And you've also got the Ava Gardner Museum and the Ham and Yam Festival. Yes, you heard me right. It sounds cheesy until you've had the food, then you're a fan for life. Tell me I'm wrong. And for 2026, this one lands as the most affordable spot on our list. median prices are still sitting under $350,000. And what's even more wild is that you can still find charming older homes in the 200,000s here, which is almost unheard of anywhere else in the Triangle. So let me be clear, you will not be finding a Whole Foods or a Wegmans down the street in Smithfield, right now at least. But because it sits right along Interstate 95 and near I-40, it's surprisingly accessible if you're commuting for work or need to travel outside of Smithfield. But here's the real 2026 financial bombshell I mentioned at the start: the Johnson County tax cut. If you've been looking at Smithfield or the outskirts of Angier that sit in Johnson County, your monthly math just got a whole lot better. Okay, so let me explain. The Board of Commissioners just passed one of the largest property tax cuts in county history for the 2025-2026 budget, dropping the rate significantly from 67 cents all the way down to 52 cents. Guys, this is totally unheard of around here. So let's break this down for your wallet. On a $400,000 home, that's an extra $600 a year staying in your pocket or bank account compared to just last year. When you stack that against Wake County's rates, which actually saw a slight increase this year for fire and education services, you're looking at a difference of nearly $150 to $200 a month in your total mortgage payment for the exact same loan amount. So that's basically your free grocery budget, your car payment, or your kid's soccer camp, all just for choosing to live 10 minutes further south or east. And at the end of the day, we all know a house isn't just a building. It's a safe space for your family to grow and create memories. It's also the biggest line item in your monthly budget. So whether it's the community energy of the farmhouse in Wendell, the quiet acres in Angier, or the massive tax savings in Smithfield, you have options that don't involve a $4,000 mortgage. Okay, because you're stuck around with me to the end, I want to give you the tool that makes this move actually happen. Comment start below for a comprehensive guidebook to buying, selling, and exploring in these 3 towns, completely free to you. Don't let the Raleigh prices scare you out of the market. The Triangle is still a great place to live, you just have to know where to look. Y'all, if this video was helpful at all, please make sure you like, drop a comment, and tell us which town you're curious about, and subscribe for more weekly updates on buying and selling in the Triangle. I'm Becky with Dream Team Realty Group, and we help families all over the Raleigh area make smart, strategic moves, not just affordable ones. See you next time, right here.